Hello everyone. The search for money can lead us to paths that we never thought that we'd ever take. Welcome to our channel today as I take you through my journey from Uganda to Côte d'Ivoire. I hope you like it. Please, if you have not subscribed yet to our channel, please ensure that you subscribe. Also, share the channel with your friends and family and all those that you care for. Don't forget to click and like this video so you don't miss any other videos that we bring up in the future. Well, embracing the unknown is not something that is so strange to the human race. For me, the decision to move from Uganda to Cote d'Ivoire marked a very pivotal moment in my life. It introduced me to very daunting experiences of living in a foreign country for the first time. I'd never lived away from Uganda. I'd never lived away from home, and yet I had to settle into my new home. Oftentimes, when you just land into Cote d'Ivoire, one of the first things you hear is Akwaba, which basically means welcome. It's a phrase that really is supposed to bring comfort and reassurance to you. So, just a bit about Uganda. Of course, you know Uganda is the Pearl of Africa. Let me add the word, of course. Before making my move to Cote d'Ivoire, Uganda had been home. Of course, Uganda is a beautiful place. It has vibrant culture. It has warm people with very unique identities. Leaving all this behind, leaving behind Kampala, leaving behind my friends, leaving behind my family, is a beautiful Lake Victoria. It's not something that is easy. It's not something that you can just wake up and say, it's gone, it's gone. Let me move on. No, you feel a part of you is still back home. And it is even today. On the 1st of July 2019, that's not so long ago. For me, one of the most things that I do remember a lot is booking my flight and securing accommodation for Airbnb. It didn't seem to be a very big problem for me. I know some of my friends have had the chance or the lack of being hosted by other people. For me, I booked my place into an Airbnb, but it wasn't that smooth. So, of course, beginning my journey from Entebbe Airport, it was a mixture of excitement and a bit of fear. The long journey that finally ended at Abidjan when we disembarked. Of course, within on the flight, I had met someone who was French speaking, and we were coming to Cote d'Ivoire. So this was actually very easy for me. It made it very simple for me go through the process, and. This person we booked together a taxi. For them, they were going into a conference, and the conference was starting that very day. So they went directly to the place where they're doing the conference from. For me, the taxi proceeded to take me to where I had booked my lodgings. Unfortunately, as I was trying to save on costs, I had lost out on a very good place in an Airbnb, and I'd gotten another place. Now, this is the second place. The person told me that they were not ready to host, so they booked me into a lodge where I stayed for about 2 days, and then I moved to the Airbnb I had previously missed out on. At this point in time, I didn't even know that I could ever find Ugandans in Cote d'Ivoire. I remember my first journey to office. I always pass by this road and I think, oh, this is my first road I took to office. And it's the hotel people that helped me find a taxi and help me give the taxi guy instructions. Remember, at this point in time, I didn't know literally 98% of the French I know. So I used my offline Google Maps, and then finally we managed to get into Plateau, and I could see my office building there. Of course, for me, one of the biggest shocks was language. It was the first shock that I really, one of the first shocks that I encountered at the airport. Of course, there's also that bit of getting off the plane, and then you hit by that heat wave. That was also a bit weird for me. I was coming from a cool, calm country, and here I was in a very hot country. But then later on, I learned that French was actually one of the biggest challenges I would encounter over time, from booking taxis, trying to explain to people why I'm trying to buy certain things, trying to explain, to find my way about. And later on, I also learned that, of course, even at the airport, there are some individuals who felt like I think the Anglophones do not make enough efforts to learn English, which I think is also true because the French speaking are really obliged to learn how to speak French because wherever they travel, They're going to learn how to speak English because whenever they travel, they find people who are English speaking, and that makes it hard for them. So they really make an effort. Well, on our end, they usually say les anglophones ne faisaient pas des efforts pour apprendre le français. So it is it is something that's actually true. The key things I really found in Cote d'Ivoire is that you need to be part of a community. I had so many lonely moments in Abidjan. The first Christmas was terrible. I didn't want to look at the pictures of my family partying away Christmas, drinking, while I was alone in the house here in Abidjan. But having a community to belong to makes things a little bit more easier. I met a group of Ugandans and we had a lot of get togethers, we had a lot of parties, we used to go out for sports together, and it didn't feel lonely anymore. I also met locals who dragged me to a number of places. They call them marquees. You go out, eat, drink. They also took me to spiritual places. So it was a mixture of things. These people helped me really fit into their life. I think my first exposure with the local cuisine was about within a week when I arrived. On the third day, as I was going to office, I booked a taxi. We used a place called the application called Yango, and this gentleman knew how to speak English. So over the weekend, he took me out to eat at a local place. Oh, I regretted because there was so much pepper. My eyes were watering all the all the while I was having the meal. So, but anyway, I also love fish. So, with these people in Abidjan, we go out and eat fish. And I also met other people from the East African community. Culture exploration, of course, is one of the key things. As you plan to come to Abidjan, is one of the things that you probably want to immerse yourself. There's a vibrant culture in Cote d'Ivoire. It presents you a bit of challenges, but also with a number of rewards. Language barriers, embracing the social customs, requires patience and adaptability. And of course, engaging with the locals and exploring the country's rich history brings rewards. You get to learn about how they are, where they have come from, what has shaped the history of Cote d'Ivoire. Of course, the first president, Felix Houphouët-Boigny, is one of the key individuals that have really shaped this place. And if you visit Yamoussoukro to visit the Basilica of Our Lady of Peace, which is one of the biggest architectural wonders in Africa, I think, you really find his influence in that place in Yamoussoukro because that was his hometown. And of course, there are vibrant markets where you find textures, local crafts, the waterfalls of the man. So there's a lot of greenery out of Abidjan. There's also the town. This has been designated by UNESCO, Grand Bassam, at the World Heritage Site, where it's a mixture of the rich colonial life and the current life. So it's also good to go to such a place and visit. There are also beautiful beaches, Asini, one of the places where most people would want to go for the weekends. And let me say, you relax also while soaking to the hot sun that's everywhere in Abidjan. Of course, for me, adapting to daily life is also one of the key things that you have to ensure that you come to terms with. Kampala is a little bit fast, Abidjan is a little bit slow. Even when you get to the areas, you go to the banks and then you find that they're still doing checkbooks. While in Uganda, even when it's a smaller economy, where they're already doing the online banking, don't step into the banks. So I find that a bit strange that you have to go into a bank to do certain things, which you could have done online. And of course, at that time, they are telling me that if you're going to have online access, you have to pay for it. In Uganda, it's my banking platform. So I was wondering why this is the case. But of course, you get to learn. And people say that they keep reminding you that this is Ivory Coast. This is how we do things. This is how our life is. And you have to just get used to that. But of course, when you seek support from your community, things become a little bit easier. One of the other inconveniences for me was the weather. The temperatures are really high. Currently, we are at highs of about 32, 31. While in Uganda, you are from 20s, 24. Here you are in 30s. So it's really, and of course, it's humidity levels. You just get out of the house and you just begin sweating. You sweat buckets, buckets, buckets of water. So, of sweat. So, that wasn't something that was very easy for me. Of course, there are some other areas which are a little bit cooler, but of course, we're in Abidjan. I don't tend to spend time out of Abidjan that much. So understanding the weather patterns and understanding it makes you get ready, prepared for the heat and the humidity. I also, while moving around in Abidjan, you ask yourself, what do the local people do? Of course, people are into business. A number of things that they do in business. Of course, the biggest for the local people is food. And Abidjan being a city that is spanning so many kilometers from Plateau to Cocody, it's really big. Food industry is one of the driving factors. The driving, of course, Cote d'Ivoire is one of the biggest producers of, is the biggest actually producer of cocoa, and many locals are involved in the farming and trading of cocoa. Of course, being the hub, the business hub for West Africa, there are a number of people who come here to do business. You find people from all over West Africa in Abidjan, from Burkina Faso, from Nigeria, from Ghana. They're all here doing business. And of course, there's also the issues of to do with the crafts, and they are very skilled in making textiles and wood carvings. So these are good things to the good area or good tips where people can do business. Of course, you want to do business, it's important that you build relationships and trust. People can be trustworthy. Unlike Uganda, where I usually worry about someone who's trying to steal something from you. In Côte d'Ivoire, I didn't think a lot about that. They're more to understand the culture and customs. Also, being you have to adapt to rapidly changing environment. So, leaving behind loved ones for me was also one of the other big issues. I felt homesick a number of times. I long for the familiarity, the people I cherished in Uganda. My family's memories were all in Uganda. And then here I am. But so you learn how to use technology to keep in touch with those who are off, who are very far away. And then, of course, sometimes they feel closer by talking to them on a daily basis. Of course, for me, one of the key things that I could take away is that moving from Uganda to Cote d'Ivoire as a first timer for me has been a very transformative journey that has tested my resilience and pushed me out of my comfort zone. It involves and requires embracing of the unknown with an open heart and mind, ultimately. Because if you're going to have some personal growth, if you're going to deepen understanding of the culture, you need to open up and be open to learning new things and doing things differently from the way you were doing them in Uganda. I'm glad I made this move. I'm glad that I'm here in Cote d'Ivoire, and I'm glad that I've gotten to know new people. I've widened my circles, and I'm glad that this beautiful country has been a very wonderful host for me from the time I came to Cote d'Ivoire. If you're planning to move to Cote d'Ivoire, definitely it's a good place to make money. It's a good place to do business. It's a good place with very warm people, very calm people, not so much worried about theft. Maybe it's because of where I live, but it is a really a very very good place. Thank you for listening to me. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe our channel, like this video, and that way you help us grow the channel. Thank you very much for listening to us, and have a good day, good evening, good morning. Bye bye.